So just one sec. So we were supposed to see 6 people presenting tonight, but we'll only see 4 because Brian and Maria are not ready for tonight in the end. I found out like very, very recently, so I couldn't do anything about it. So if yous are okay, but only like, you know, with your approval, if we can put them tomorrow, maybe, you know, at the beginning and the end, 15 extra minutes, but I'm not sure whether everyone wants to stay on the call. So, you know, feel free to send me just a direct message there on Slack, and yeah, I'll announce that at the end of the presentations. Couldn't think of the better solution in the short time, so apologies for that.
You can make them do it in the pub on Wednesday.
Yeah, even that. Anyways, who doesn't present won't qualify for the awards. So we'll vote for the best research, for the best project, for the best prototype, best presentation, best mentor and mentee pair, and the best mentor. Again, we had this in the last round, and yeah, people enjoyed getting the awards, and basically, you know, 50% of people last round got the awards. So make sure that you put notes. We will have the recording of the session anyways, so, and I will send out the survey probably tomorrow at the end of everything. So, you know, make sure you vote in your own time. There's no big rush with that until Wednesday anyways. So just a quick summary of the entire round. So we had 17 mentees and 17 mentors. 14 of them will finish. Actually, Jesus, guys, I forgot to mention Matt there as well. He won't present at all. We'll talk about this again. We'll probably see him on Wednesday, so we can ask him more questions about this. So we're gonna meet in person on Wednesday at 6:30, Idle Wild Bar. I hope I pronounced that well. I'm gonna have completion gifts for everyone, and there will be 1 drink on us. Let's see, if I'm in a good one, maybe it will be 2. Let's see about that. And when everything is finished, when it comes to Slack, feel free to stay on the channel. We'll have announcements for all the kind of important webinars in the next year. If you need any preparation with job and also for networking, it's always a good, like, you know, you can communicate with basically everyone, even from the round, but, you know, regardless of what round the mentor or mentees are. Also for the Notion, I'll give you time until 31st of December to kind of clean up everything and to copy whatever you need from Notion, and then I'm going to delete everything because we have to start at the following round. I'm going to send out also the evaluation survey by the end of this week, so feel free to kind of fill that out and just send it back. Also, you need to submit your case study. I think the deadline is on 23rd, 24th. So anyways, before Christmas. It's also good for you guys to kind of get that sorted before Christmas and everything. And then after you submit your case study, after I review it, yourself, and I'm talking to mentees now, yourself and your mentor will get the certificate. That's it. Do you guys have any questions or anything? Hope I made sense there. Yeah, nobody's saying anything. I think that's a good
Yep, sounds good.
Great. Okay, so Rachel, do you want to go first?
Yeah, perfect.
Great.
Share my screen, so let me know.
Yeah,
you guys can see it. Yeah, can you see it there?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so for my project, I decided to work on Slack. Oh, I'm not in. Hold on, sorry. Why?
Sorry, Rachel, before you start, so I'm going to put a timer on 10 minutes, just like we did in the intern presentations. So, you know, and I'm going to warn you 1 minute before, okay?
Okay, don't press start yet, because it's not loading. Give me 1 second, sorry. Some strange reason, it's just froze on me there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So for my project, I decided to work on Slack, and to move my face. So I originally was redesigning group messaging in Slack, and I wanted to create a group versus a channel experience. So I wanted to add people into a direct message. And if you create a group on Slack through direct messages and then later add a person in, it starts a whole new chat. So you can't add people in to existing conversations. So I planned on helping it make it clear to the users the difference between the group direct messages and creating a channel before they begin their communication. So the target audience was anybody that uses Slack, and my intention of this was to help fill people in on any gaps in communication. So I began my research, and I came in wanting to focus on the fact that there was no conversation history in group direct messages. So I did 7 usability tests that were ranging in technical ability, and I spent approximately 30 minutes on each interview. So I found out that this was actually solved and I didn't need to do it, but in the usability testing, I did uncover other usability issues. So many users didn't understand the terminology, and that was the main thing that I learned from the research. So I wanted to try and figure out exactly what people thought features did and if and why they used them. So I had 24 responses, and I used qualitative, sorry, hold on. I collected both qualitative and quantitative data. So this allowed me to get a deeper level of understanding, and I found that the survey was a really helpful piece of research before I got to my problem statement. So if I go into workspaces, for example, 3 people didn't know what a workspace meant. 4 people thought it was related to your company, and they used different terms like Slack worlds, umbrella company, hierarchy of channels, project, complete different terminology. And then for channels, there was a different understanding there. 3 people thought a specific group, a specific category for people to discuss a topic only. 2 people didn't know what it was. And 1 person said, I don't use channels, I'm part of channels. So it was quite mixed there as well. And then with direct messaging, I had 60% of people say they use direct messaging, and then 40% of people saying they use group and direct messaging. And the main thing that I thought was interesting was people use direct messaging to avoid humiliation by asking directly instead of asking publicly in a channel. And then the difference between a channel and a group direct message, people thought that channels were just public and you needed to be invited or request access. Channels were long-term and direct messages were quick discussions. Channels were formal, direct message were informal. It was public versus private, this type of thing. And then again, the direct messages can save you from looking like an idiot in a channel. So what I noticed was the main problem is that the terminology and the confusion of the terms, people just weren't understanding the terms and the way it's communicated at the moment. So this led me to my problem statement. How might we improve Slack's onboarding experience so users have a common understanding of its features? So this brought me then to Rebecca, a 27-year-old project manager in a construction company. So what I learned about my persona, Rebecca, was that she was a very extroverted kind of person. She just started a new job. She has used Slack before, but she's not that familiar. It wasn't her primary use of communication in her old job. And the needs that she would have is she's starting a new job and needs to be able to use Slack and ask questions and speak with her team. And the frustrations would be they all have different understanding of how groups, workspaces, and channels work. So I did a customer journey map, but I'll actually be showing you a walkthrough of that in a few minutes. So I'll just go through the pain points that I found in the journey map as well. So there was confusion over terminology. There were different use cases for everything. It wasn't clear with the workspaces, the channels, or the group messages. There was a different number of workspaces across multiple devices. Huddles were confusing, and people couldn't rename group messages. So this led me to my prototyping. So I did 4 design iterations in total between paper prototyping, low fidelity, and wireframes. And originally what I did was I actually had them all in like consecutive steps at the beginning. So like each step one after another. And what I found here was people don't read. There was too much information at once, which led to cognitive overload. So then I thought I'd have to do it as the user goes through the app herself. So it's more contextual. I also found it quite difficult to do usability testing because they were just clicking. So you couldn't tell if people were actually taking the information in or not. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, the text as simple as possible and as small as possible. So I wanted to cut down on a lot of words. Anything that was important needed to be bolded. And then I wanted to make the secondary information smaller. And then I wanted to use visual cues and illustrations to help the user understand. So I'm going to take you through the personas journey, Rebecca. So this is the current way that she would sign up to Slack. So she includes where she works, some of her teammates, and she creates a new channel called BIM, which is a software. So when she successfully sets up, there's a prompt that will show her around. And then she has successfully created her channel BIM, as mentioned there when she was signing up. So there's a little prompt explaining that a channel is a dedicated space for a topic, project, or team. And the example is BIM, which she has just done. And then there is a prompt for just for her to start talking to her colleagues. And then she starts to understand, she gets used to Slack, she can have conversation. And then as she gets more familiar with Slack, she'll get more channels, she'll have more channels. So you can see there's more channels added. And then she decides that she actually wants to ask one of her colleagues a question about training. So she clicks into direct message and it explains with a prompt, a direct message is a one-to-one conversation between you and another member. So it's small, it's concise, and there's an illustration there that explains it as well. So she starts to have a conversation about the training and her colleague decides to add her into a group chat between other people that need to know about the training. So when you click on this, it then says what a group direct message is. So these are smaller discussions outside of channels between you and up to 8 other members. So it also gives you another prompt then as well saying, note, you can rename the group chat if desired by double clicking. So you double click and then she renames the group to Autodesk Training. So that isn't in the current Slack model. So then after her training, one of her colleagues decides, he writes to her and asks her information, very detailed, and she decides, I can't respond through message, I'm going to ring her. So she goes to ring and it explains then what a huddle is. So a huddle is a voice conversation in Slack channel or a direct message that includes a video or screen sharing. So then she has the huddle with her colleague, which is fine. And then as she gets to know Slack more and more, she decides that she wants to add a new workspace. So you click on this, click here, and it says on the plus there, sorry, and it says a workspace is a place where people can work together more effectively, connect all their software tools and services, and find the information that they need to do their best work. So it says you can sign in, you can create or find a workspace. So when you click on one of them, there's another prompt to say, just to remind you to keep everything nice and consistent across all your devices, try use the same email address, because I found that in the usability tests to start, people were using different email addresses, and that was one of the main pain points of that. So then it brings you back to creating the workspace. So that's the same as the beginning. So the whole idea of that journey was to drip feed Rebecca information as she goes along. So the usability test method didn't work, and I wanted to break it down into smaller pieces. So I undertook some observational testing. So I showed 5 users the separate screens for 5 seconds to see what they could recall and understand. So the green sticker means that the user understood the information. The orange sticker means that they understood the general gist, and the red means that they were still a bit lost. So for my testing, I used a range of different users that were different age groups and ranging in different technical abilities. And I found that 72% of the users tested have the same understanding of the terminology. 20% had a little bit of confusion, but understood the general gist. And 8% were still not fully confident in the terminology, but the illustrations helped convey the user's understanding significantly.
1 minute left.
Perfect. And whereas all the people I spoke to at the beginning of the process had loads of different understandings of the terms. So this is a big difference from where we started off. Now I do find that it was hard to get an exact metric to compare it to, because it was different than at the beginning. So I suppose my conclusions and my learnings would be, doing the survey really helped me collect the exact information that I needed to get my problem statement. The contextual prompts are much more effective in this case, because a high proportion of people, when they're using softwares, they just click through the onboarding explanations. So by doing it in a contextual way, it drip feeds the user along the way and gives them any information that they need as they're going. I suppose I would have liked to have some kind of data at the beginning to compare against, because I found it hard to compare at the end. And ideally I would have liked it to have been the same users at the beginning and the end. And then I did, it was hard to test the prototypes with the usability tests. So I learned about the observational testing, which was really cool. And it was quite hard to test and validate these. So you almost need like a fully developed prototype. But that's the next step. And I also would like to get focused on the mobile application as well. So because a lot of the users used a desktop from the first part of my research, I just stuck with the desktop and I wanted to perfect that first. So that is me. Is there any questions?
Great, that was great. Thanks, Rachel. Amazing. But tell me, how do you think it will be different from mobile to desktop? Like, what do you think will be the kind of the thing that will be the most different there?
Oh, I don't really think it wouldn't be much different. It'd probably be easier on a mobile.
I mean, like, you know, with your kind of problem and your solution, would there be a lot of difference when, you know, desktop compared to mobile?
I honestly don't know, because I didn't do much on the mobile. I focused on the desktop. I focused on desktop, but because the explanations were quite short, and I made sure that the copy and the text was quite short, I would say you'd be still able to fit it on a mobile, or that would be the plan then, because if not, we'd have to cut it down even more. But you also don't want to lose that information either.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Well done, Rachel, there. Does anyone else have any comments or any questions for Rachel for her presentation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really
Sorry, Jane.
love this. This is like very relevant to something I've been going through at the moment with Teams. We've been having a big like thing at work with Teams channels versus group chats and all goes with that. So it's like, you know, it's a different program, it's very relevant. I love that your research led you to like finding out your problem was solved in a way. That's actually good. That means your research was good. That means you validated, like, that's, you know, you didn't need to do that thing. You needed to look at something else. I really loved your in context prompts. I can tell that you used Slack's own design language, because I recognize those kind of prompts, and actually I wasn't even sure if it was the existing experience or the new one for a moment, because it was so consistent. Yeah, it's really relevant. And the point you made about using different email addresses, that's super relevant. I'm on a Slack channel with 2 different email addresses and I still haven't like fixed it. So sometimes I comment with one email and then I end up commenting on my phone and it has a different email. So I look like I'm talking to myself. That's a big issue. So it's so nice that you like identified those things. They're super relevant. Yeah, I think you did such a good job.
Thanks a million, Jamie.
That's a great point.
Yeah, well done, Rachel. It's great. Look, I feel your pain about people not reading. I just come out of a big kind of a project where, you know, you just realize that people don't read anything, you know, like, so that's a real kind of a challenge to try and communicate how something works that people aren't going to read, you know. And the way you've done it, as in took it outside the onboarding where people normally kind of skip through that anyway, you know. What I would like to see is a way for people, if they do skip those little kind of messages that pop up, a way they can get them back if they are confused. So I think channels and direct messages, they have a little kind of a contextual menu. I think if you hover over them, there's like those 3 dots, and there's a menu in there. You could potentially put in a small explainer or a kind of an info button or whatever in there in case people want to go back. Because I mean, I've been using Slack for years and like I still get confused between them all, you know. So it'd be handy to have that kind of ability to go back and find out what each one does, you know. But well done, really good.
Thank you very much. I was thinking if you were to do that, I think the small information button just beside it would probably help. But yeah, that's a problem for a different day. But something like that would be, yeah.
All in all, great job there, Rachel. Like, you did a tremendous job in these 4 months and you should be very proud of yourself. Amy.
Hi, Rachel. Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, like whatever everyone say, I'm gonna echo that. But we're in Teams. It's funny Jamie mentioned that. Yeah, we do struggle with that. and especially depends on like if they're information workers or they're frontline workers or people in education. It's very hard. Like channels doesn't tell me anything what to do. I didn't know what channels were until I joined Microsoft. We used to work in teams, but we never looked into it. So yeah, the problem you're solving is actually a very, very real, relatable problem that can solve like a business issue as well for companies like Slacks and like by the likes of products like Teams. So your research was dead on point. I know the team that works into that kind of scenario in my work, and they're doing pretty much the same, trying to come up with ways. So I think you did a fantastic job on that. So you should definitely put that up on your portfolio. I think it'll really help you. If you're looking to go further into the UX field.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no, congrats.
Thanks a million.
I thought that was really well and thoroughly researched, and I think the design was really well executed. I thought that the approach to the actual like reimagined onboarding process was quite I don't know, it was friendly and warm. There was something nice about it for like that often gets missed in like UI UX at times. But it was kind of personable in how it was done, which I really liked. The one thought that I did have potentially for future work, which is related back to your research, was obviously I'm aware in the context of the project, the scope can be kind of very narrow in relation to the time that you have, but it would be interesting from, I suppose, like your survey and the rest of your user research that you identified that there was an issue around kind of nomenclature in general. So it would be nice to maybe think about quick wins that you could maybe do and other user testing methods that you could probably employ to try and figure out how you could solve for those problems in a more immediate way rather than the just specific to the onboarding. But that's the only thing in my mind that I was like, you could maybe augment all of the really good work that you have there if you are going to be fleshing that out into a portfolio piece, whether it's around nomenclature or like just the information architecture in general. There could be like some really just nice little quick wins in there that you could very immediately update to, I suppose, elevate it that little bit more in regards to the communication overall. But yeah, all in all, really good project. Really enjoyed taking it, or you taking us through it.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Very good, thanks, Rachel. You have some comments there in the chat, so make sure you read those as well. And also everything what you hear there, make sure you also use some of these things for your case study as well. Also, like, you know, the comments from Eric and everything, can include all these things in your next steps as well. And everyone, guys. Amy, do you want to say a few words to your mentee? Sorry for putting you here on the spot. It was it was just Stewie's idea to kind of finish up with a nice.
Definitely. I just think Rachel's done an incredible job, like, to pull all this out so quickly, and it wasn't an easy problem to solve, and also figuring out the exact way to even communicate the problem, and then the testing and everything. Like, it hasn't been a straightforward problem to solve. So I just think she's done a brilliant job, and I'm really excited to read through her case study, and I've absolutely loved working with her over the last few months. So well done, Rachel. You should be very proud of yourself.
Great.
Thanks a million, Amy. I couldn't have done it without you.
Great job, both of you. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, guys, for your feedback.
Thanks, guys. So I think the next one, Karen, do you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. Sorry, I'll just get my screen shared. Okay, can you see that there?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So my project was improving the visibility of recurring outgoing payments for permanent TSB customers. So in that first, sorry, now I'm having problems with my thing not working. There we go. So in the research, the problem statement was permanent TSB customers currently have no way to manage and monitor their recurring outgoing payments. So what I wanted to find out in that first phase was How do users currently manage their recurring outgoing payments? How is the problem affecting users? And has it caused issues like overdraft? Does the user's bank currently offer any solutions to the problem? So to find that out, we used user interviews, user survey, and competitive analysis. And then going from there, right. So the themes that we kind of extracted from that research was that there was a need for visibility of recurring outgoing payment names, dates, and amounts, ensuring that there was always sufficient funds for recurring outgoing payments, and difficulty cancelling recurring outgoing payments. So the key findings were that customers think their bank could do more to help them manage recurring outgoing payments, and they're trying to keep track of when their recurring outgoing payments are due outside of the banking app and are having difficulty doing so. Customers are disputing unexpected and unrecognized payments, and customers are concerned about going into overdraft as a result of an unexpected outgoing payment. So from there, we went on to the define phase, and we came up with those two personas. So the primary one being Jade, who has forgotten that she had a recurring outgoing payment coming up, and she ended up going into overdraft and owing the bank €10 as a result. And looking at that as a scenario where she logs into her banking app, checks her account balance and realizes it's fallen below, and looks through her transaction history and sees a payment that she doesn't recognize, calls the bank helpline for assistance, and then inevitably just has to go elsewhere to cancel the payment. So we move on to the develop phase, and we want to answer the question of how might we enable permanent TSB customers to monitor their recurring outgoing payments so that they're aware of upcoming payments before the money is taken out of their account. So before starting ideation, kind of made this list of design considerations and things that I wanted to make sure were included in any ideas that I came up with. So users want to ensure that they always have sufficient funds in their accounts for recurring transactions. They want to prevent money from leaving their accounts without their knowledge. They want help recognizing payments with confusing names, and they want to be able to cancel unwanted payments from within the banking app. So I did crazy eights to ideate, and then kind of expanded on a few of those ideas, and then created 3 paper prototypes of 3 different ideas. So we have our monthly forecast, so what next month's going to look like based on last month, including important dates with recurring transactions. We have your personalized budget, so that's kind of based off of your previous spending habits. It's auto-filled, but you can edit it. And importantly, you can set a minimum balance that you get notified if you're due to drop below that minimum balance. And then monthly insights, so just looking at how last month was and if you had any new recurring transactions to kind of flag it for you, with the option of putting any savings away into a rainy day fund, so that if you do have an unexpected payment, you have money aside for that. So I tested those prototypes, and 3 out of 3 participants said that the budget concept is the one that they thought would be most useful and most likely to use, because it provides visibility of monthly expenditure habits, it provides control over upcoming payments, it notifies users of an unexpected payment before it takes place, it's comprehensive and editable, and it makes it easy to find spendings that can be cut back when needed. And then considerations from all those tests to bring forward was that users liked how easy it was to scan the monthly insights information. They want to be able to cancel recurring payments while editing the budget. And they like seeing how much they saved and said that they'd like to see if they overspent as well. And they want more detail about recurring payments within the budget. So then using that information, created a slightly more detailed low fidelity prototype. So kind of keeping that monthly insights first screen, but incorporating it into the monthly budget. And then going in that you can see if you've had a new recurring transaction with the kind of start date, end date. You can still set your minimum balance, add categories to your kind of already pre-filled budget. And then additionally, you get this notification if you're going to go over that or you're going to go under that minimum balance with kind of information about your upcoming payment that's going to do that. So say you set up CAM a year ago and you forgot, and now it's due to come out and you're going to go below your preferred minimum balance. So I tested that prototype as well. And the feedback that I got back and that needed to be brought through to my next prototype was that it needed to be clarified that minimum balance was a personal preference and not something that users were going to be penalized for surpassing. Users want more information about their upcoming transactions so that they can better understand the context and history of the payment. It wasn't clear to users whether the budget was monthly or weekly, and users want to be able to access a full breakdown of weekly spending via the insights graph on that first page. So we took those insights and brought it through to a minimum viable product, or wireframes, which we tested again. And the insights that we got there were that it was kind of more design focused. Buttons to add expenses and add categories weren't clear, and users weren't able to find them. There were too many details in the budget breakdown. It was making it hard to scan and confusing. Users want to be able to access more detailed information about expenses within the budget, and the path to cancel payments needs to be adjusted to meet the user's mental model. And then myself and Aisling made an observation that the current iteration is providing two solutions to the same problem, and it's causing confusion. And since users stated during the 3 rounds of testing that they wanted the feature to be simple and straightforward, and they also stated that the budget, in their opinion, was the most useful feature that addresses our problem statement, I decided to take away that initial insight screen that was causing all that confusion. So that brings us to our high fidelity prototype. Well, actually, sorry, a little example of the confusion. That was the initial user flow. It had to be broken down into 2 kind of flows. There were several entry points and it was all getting very messy. So taking out that first screen let us kind of get this one straightforward path with 1 entry and 1 exit. So that brings us through to our high fidelity design. So like that, kind of designing this notification, which was kind of seen as the most important moment, that you kind of get a notification that your balance is going to drop below a certain point, and also creating a few kind of icons that work in what they already have for kind of nestling our new feature into the homepage. Tested that prototype as well. And so I did kind of more of a task focused one this time, of kind of navigating from the navigating from the home screen to the edit budget feature, pausing a recurring payment for a month, adding a new category to this month's budget, reducing the preferred minimum balance, and opening a notification and cancelling a payment. So you can see there was kind of, each person ran into one kind of snag throughout the test, but no one task had more than one snag. So we kind of took those insights and applied them like any kind of necessary changes to the final prototype. But more importantly, we got some really useful insights and quotes from the users that show that we have validated that we're solving the problem we aimed to solve. And so most importantly, I like that you can change your minimum balance, and that way you're sure that you won't go into the red. And then additionally, it's very clear, there's no hidden surprises. It does what it's supposed to do. It's great that it fills out the amounts to start with because it saves you time and effort, but I like that I can edit it so I still feel in control. And then it's easy to follow, even for someone like me who's not great with these sorts of apps. So a really quick run through of the final prototype of going in, looking at your kind of budget and editing within the budget, that you can go in and you find more details about a payment, and you can pause payments or cancel them. You can also add categories to your budget, and there'll be kind of a ready-made list, but if you don't see what you're looking for, you can add your own one. You can adjust your minimum balance depending on the month, it might be different. You get this notification if you're approaching your minimum balance with full details of why and how, and what will happen if you do, and then option to proceed with the payment or cancel the payment. And then going from there onto my conclusions. So further work I'd like to look at, if I have more time, I'd love to look at how we could introduce users to a new feature, whether that's a notification or onboarding, because I don't write it, it should just appear in the app. I'd like to revisit the insights feature to establish where and how it could fit into that monthly budget a bit better, or if it's a separate thing altogether. And I'd like to look at users' behaviors around notifications, and what sort of notifications would work for different scenarios within that budget. And then personal learnings, I learned about recognizing and addressing mental blocks. So at the ideation stage, I hit a huge block where I was kind of designing with what I thought was possible within a banking app, rather than what I thought would best solve the problem. So kind of talking with Aisling kind of helped me kind of find a new way to ideate with fewer boundaries. We kind of took a step back which was really useful because I had hit like a week-long standstill with that. And then also every project's different, no one research plan and design process fits all. So I kind of already knew this, and I knew that designing wasn't linear, but I still came in with this idea from college of how I was going to solve this problem, and it did not work. And it kind of slowed me right the way down. So again, chatting to Aisling, having a mentor, someone to help me through that block and figuring out like a new path to research this really helped me get through the whole process. So that's it. That's me. Any questions?
That's great. Well done. Well done, Karen. Like the presentation is amazing. And you know, how you got also the maximum from your paper prototypes and everything. I thought that was great, because sometimes we're just like very comfortable with using Figma and everything. We just put the prototype very fast, but we don't even think. But I think, you know, when you're sketching things and you also kind of sketched in high fidelity, you did a great job there. And, you know, it kind of helps you to kind of put everything together. Yeah, like all positives from my side. I just have one question for you. When you tested with users, you mentioned in the first task there, navigating to edit budget feature from home screen. Was that the way that you kind of set the scenario, or how did that look?
Well, that's how that is kind of how I set the scenario for the test. That was kind of something that I realized quite late, that's why I would like to look at how to introduce them to that feature. So the scenario kind of very much is that you've used this before. I guess it isn't new in the scenario. Do you know that sort of way?
I mean, would you actually tell them, you know, navigate to edit button?
No, so no. So what I said was that you've previously set up the, you know, your monthly budget, but you want to make a few edits for this month. So could you show me how you go about doing that? Yeah.
Oh, no,
that was for my own kind of.
Yeah. No, just wanted to make sure. Perfect. Yeah, everything great. Sorry, guys. Did you want to say something? I'm sure everyone has a lot of nice comments.
I just thought, I mean, the project is really good, but the presentation I thought was brilliant. Like, it's just so concise. It's just exactly the right amount of detail of the research, and illustrates the process really well. I mean, it's kind of, there's your case study right there. I mean, I don't think it needs any more work. It's great. And it's also really good to see paper prototyping is making a comeback this year, which is always good to see, you know. But well done, really good.
Thank you.
Very good. You also have some comments there in the chat, so make sure you read them as well. Anyone else wants to say something, guys? Yeah, I didn't even have to kind of warn you on 9 minutes, because on 9 minutes I kind of figured you're very close to the end because you were on conclusions. I was like, I'm not going to say anything here. you obviously time yourself before, so I should do it. Aisling, are you there on the call? I cannot see you. Do you want to say a few words to Karen?
Yeah, I'm here, Val. That was brilliant, Karen. I think Karen, just a big boola bus for Karen, because she has been grafting away at this from day dot, and like that ran into where we've all been, where you go down a cul-de-sac and you need to do a U-turn. And I think sometimes it's a really good thing to recognize and do, because you get so much from it, and then be able to go back and look at something with fresh eyes and, you know, start afresh again. And I think she did a really good job of going through the project there and telling the story. And I think she did a really great job overall. So well done, Karen.
Thank you.
And I think it shows through her design as well. She's got a great attitude to work with, and also a really curious mindset, which I think are two really nice things to have the designer and to work with. So good job, Karen.
Thanks, Aisling.
That's great. Well done, Karen and Aisling. Well done, girls. Does anyone else has any comments or wants to say something? If not, then we can just proceed. Then Sharon, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm just going to leave my camera off.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Can you?
Sorry, I need to move me. Right. So I was looking at Irevise's onboard styling. Can everyone hear me and see the screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was looking at Irevise's onboarding style and how a better onboarding would create a better navigation and overall better user flow for our users. So I started off with the heuristics evaluation, and I found that the website was not smart, was not interactive, did not engage our user, and did not help them navigate the onboarding nor the actual using of the notes, videos, and content of the website. I conducted a survey at Taylor's Hill School in Galway, and it is an all-female school. I had 100 students get back to me, and I discovered the average time for study is between 1 and 2 hours, and it increases as the student gets older. 80% take breaks, with the average break being about 5 to 20 minutes. 81% say they struggle to focus, and wellness scored pretty high for 7 and above. 76% selected that, and for stress, 84% scored 5 or higher. Some other key findings that I found really interesting is that a lot of them actually benefited and said it helps them study when they have a set area in their home to do their work. So from that, I kind of understood that structure is quite important for students in their learning journey. So my customer journey map, I did some usability tests with students, and the onboarding was actually quite painful. They could understand that there was a 14-day free trial when they initially signed on to the homepage, but from then on, it was quite painful. The system was not forthcoming when passwords were not matching, and selecting your subjects was next to impossible. The onboarding actually is on 2 separate forms, which everyone did not expect, because at the end of the first form, you see create account, but then you're greeted with a second step, which everyone was very confused about. The select if you're 16 and above also caused a lot of confusion, as most junior cert students are below 16. So then talking to students about studying and online learning, a lot of them found it to be actually a better environment for writing essays, submitting essays, and directly messaging teachers. But a lot of them said they can get distracted online, distracted by their phones, and no one has really taught them how to study and how to best utilize a study skill for themselves. So then I further went on to look at actually what's been said about Irevise. So Irevise is actually quite an old platform, yet some people are still using it, and there's so much negative feedback, yet the management have not addressed these very simple issues. So I think this really quick fix could even increase our user flow and stop the drop off. Within interviewing all these people, I discovered the stress side, which I really did not expect to see as much. But unfortunately, Irish students score actually pretty high within Europe for the stress, anxiety. So from there, it led me to learn about this habit and the whole 3 R's, the reminder, routine, and reward, which also learning about the structured space to study within. Also, it came back to that creating a boundary for our users. I think they would benefit very well. So the as is and could be is kind of my defining the problem. So right now, Irevise adds more stress and frustration to our users. The current onboarding is confusing and messy. The platform is not appealing or inviting to students or teachers. Therefore, we have a high drop-off rate. The current UI is not pleasant to look at and doesn't aid the user to navigate. The current platform is not in keeping with the current teaching and cycle methods. It could be a straightforward, layered approach to the platform, introduce the wellness and study style with the ability to skip, a personal, safe space where study isn't always punishment. The 3 R's remind students when they plan to study. Routine, give them a flexible routine for the week, encourage them to stick with their routine, and reward. I was looking at the reward in terms of tracking, similar to Duolingo, and the platform could aid students and teachers on their learning and overall wellness journey. This is I started hand sketching and I wasn't getting anywhere, so I went back to do a flow chart, and it's a bit of a madness. It was just me working out. So whether to click 2 different pages and have each subject, when the student clicks, they either select higher or ordinary. But I found this far too cumbersome, so I kind of came down here where they could toggle between the 2 levels and select subjects. And then, oh my God, what has happened? Sorry. And then this whole section was the add-on of wellness, which can easily be skipped if they do not want to do it. So from there, I started to just wireframe in my hand sketches, just trying to figure out how I want it to be as seamless as possible. And then from there, I kind of was looking at what UI and what navigation forms could I use. So the average age of a child in Ireland getting a phone is about 12. So I was pretty confident most students would know the toggle. So instead of this constantly prompting them higher or ordinary, I decided I'd like the software to be confident. So it's just, you select your ordinary level, the subjects are there, select higher, and the to enable or disable the buttons being active, inactive. And I also wanted to bring in something in the style of the school notebook for when they want to review their subjects. And the password, when it's correct, it's positive feedback and they know they can proceed without any issues, which were all the main problems with the onboarding.
So just to reiterate.
So that was a video, which I'm not going to show. It was just a quick overview of the, oh my God, sorry. Overview of the, have I left? Sorry. Then, where have I gone to? Sorry, this thing needs to get on my way. So,
are you looking for the flow, Sharon?
yes, I don't know
you
where.
Click the little icon with the sidebar. It's just gone and hidden on you. See the, no.
Oh Lordy, what have I done? Sorry guys, 2 seconds.
You're good.
Just I see it here.
Prototype. Yeah, okay.
Sorry guys. So this is, so this is what I've come up with. So I haven't done much changes to the actual homepage. I just did some really quick updates that were feedback from the user test. So I've kept now the head navigation bar in place for when the student scrolls. I've decided to make any of the features here scrollable. And the reason I did that is because if the student is on a tablet and the website responds that size, I thought it'd be easier versus then a huge long list to scroll. And I've kept most of the other information very similar to what was on the current website. So we can start for free. So from here, I wanted to show them the steps in the journey to sign up. So there's no confusion when another page is rendered for them. If they've already signed in, they can proceed here. So for the purpose of this, we're doing junior cert. We have our toggle here between the higher and ordinary level. And I have my little notebook here and I can see that there's a 10 subjects max here for junior cert. And we will go to higher level. We can click our English, Irish, and we'll say do the history. And so they're all our subjects. I didn't want Spanish, so our student now can see they're listed very clearly. We can remove our Spanish and proceed to the next step. Here's the extra support and guidance. If they do not want to sign up, they can skip directly past this, but if they do, they can turn on these notifications and continue. And then here is their quick personal profile to sign up. So we're a teacher. They just have to, it's a scrollable list for schools. And if your list is, if your school's not listed, none of the above is going to be an option, because in my usability tests, there was a struggle to find some schools. No one was quite sure how they're entered into the database. Was it through their Irish name or through the English name? And then, at least when the password is correct, it will render with a little tick. So we've come to the subscription. I can see that again with the toggle, there is bill monthly, bill annually. We will select annually, and I can see all the features. I can see there's a 14-day trial with our paid subscription, and we can continue here. A little review of what we're doing. Our card details. We'll animate and then enter security. And this again will help guide them where all those numbers could be, and then complete sign up, and then they can start navigating. So that is, so my next steps, I'd love to test this. I actually haven't got to test this yet. So for my case study, I'm going to have it tested, and maybe if I can see you guys. And then I'll have then confirmed that I have fixed the problem with the onboarding and all the issues. But yeah, that's as far as I've gotten.
That's great, Sharon. Fair play to you. Like, you managed to do a lot also with your work and everything. And, you know, it's fine. Like, even if you say, you know, next steps and I'm going to do this for a case study, that's perfectly fine. I actually liked your presentation a lot. And I liked how you kind of gave the intro into components that you kind of introduced there. So I thought that was very cool. And yeah, very, very good presentation, a very good project. I'm looking forward to see your case study there. Anyone else have any? Yeah. Anyone else has any comments for Sharon, guys?
I just have one, and I could be wrong about this, but my understanding of a toggle is to kind of turn something on or off. I don't think it's for choosing between two different options. As far as I know now, I could be wrong, but I think it might be better to use kind of buttons or tabs to kind of switch between student and teacher, I think it was, you know. Does anyone else know if toggles can be used in that way for kind of switching between things? I always thought it was just activating things on or off.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would also see them more for kind of on and off, but I can't say. Anyone else have any experience there?
Great work, by the way. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
The project is huge. It's like there's so much in it, you know, but it's hard to pick where to start and end, really, I'd say. Well,
yeah, I definitely, when I was trying to think of the wellness thing, I was going down such a deep hole that I had to pull it back, that maybe it was, maybe it's just a small, like something more similar, that it is just two little elements versus like I went down such a vast different direction that I wanted to go back to onboarding. But yeah, but interesting point about the toggle. I actually never thought about that.
Yeah, have a look. I mean, I'm sure that there's an answer out there, you know, that'll tell you what the convention is, you know.
Perfect.
You have some comments there, Sharon, as well, from Stuart and from Thais. So make sure you read those as well. Jamie, do you want to say something to your mentee?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, well done, Sharon, for getting this far. And I feel like a bad guy because Sharon had so many ideas. It felt like we were about to like develop the next headspace for students. Like, it was, the conversations we were having were amazing. Like, I don't think it could have been captured in this presentation. And I had to be the one to say, we can't do all this. We have to like size it down. And she did a really good job of like taking a specific part of that flow, which was one of the biggest problems with Irevise that she had identified, and seeing that through and keeping her eye on the goal. I mean, I think there's probably like 2 more projects in that research that she did. It was a huge volume of research. So yeah, I'm really proud of you, Sharon. Well done. And also Sharon got engaged recently. So yeah, everything's on the up.
Thank you, guys.
Must be successful being engaged.
I will say it ate into the time for the project, the celebrations. Thank you. And thank you to Jamie, honestly. He gave me such freedom at the start to really investigate every side of this, but definitely he really helped like guide me back when I was just getting really bogged down with all these ideas and like really trying to refocus me. So definitely, and learned so much. So thank you so much, Jamie.
That's great.
Thank you.
Both of you, great job. Sharon, great job. Laura, do you want to go next?
Yep, sure. I'll share my screen. Okay. So my project is improving the booking process on the Lighthouse Cinema website. Sorry. So when I started the project, it was hard to find information on the website about what movies were showing in the cinema that day or week and what was coming up soon. The what's on and coming soon sections were poorly maintained and practically identical lists with no sense of order that confused users. Confusion was also caused by the language used on the site to describe different sections and features. The navigability of the site was very poor and users were getting lost or irritated trying to find their way around on what should be the simple journey of finding a film and booking a ticket. And the loyalty or membership program wasn't functioning either. So the design process was using the double diamond approach, exploring the problem with usability tests, a survey and competitive analysis, deciding what to fix through affinity diagrams, user personas, empathy maps, and user journey maps, testing potential solutions by looking at the information architecture, doing a user flow chart, doing design sketches, and then testing the prototype, and then refining the final solution with iterations, and then coming up with a final medium fidelity prototype. So the research findings were condensed into an affinity diagram, the main findings of which were the goals. The goals were seeing what is on today is usually the position I'm in. It wouldn't really be to check what's coming up. I want what's on now. It's not clear that the daily schedules are further down the homepage. The first thing you should see is what's playing in the cinema at that given time. You go to now showing and I see what's on in 2 weeks. That's not helpful to me. I expected to see the days of the week next to the dates. I don't know what day it is automatically. In the visual appeal, having a poster there is good. Big fan of that. You can tell the Lighthouse put a lot of thought into their images. And then the navigability, it just doesn't seem to be considering the person who's just there to book tickets. So I came up with a primary persona of Sophie, who just wants to find out what's screening that day or that week. She just wants to see what's on when she's free. Then the secondary persona was Peter, an older man who wants to find out what's coming up next so he can plan his visits in advance. The empathy map, the Lighthouse is my favorite because I tend to like the films they show. They like the posters, they like the images on the website, but feels puzzled. What day of the week is this movie on? Annoyed that's not alphabetical and it's not on today. There's no reason why I should be viewing that first. In terms of the language, seasons and signature strands, the distinction between these two isn't clear. And yeah, in terms of does, scrolls down the homepage to look for specific content instead of using the search field, clicks on daily schedules when looking for a movie. Then the journey map, yeah, starts out happy, just gets progressively unhappier because they can't see what's on the cinema at a given time. The lists aren't alphabetical. They have to scroll to see information about the movie, and the days of the week aren't there. So problem statement 1, the user doesn't know how to find out what's on today. The user is confused by the now showing page. The user has to leave the page to check what day of the week the movie is on. The user's confused by the language used on the site, and users are confused about the seat position when selecting seats. So when I was coming up with the solution, I looked at the current information architecture. There was a lot of repetition, it was very bloated and was just quite confusing. So after a couple of tries, I just refined it down to just renamed some things and just made it a lot simpler. Then I looked at a flow diagram for the primary user to see how many screens I should be looking at. In this case, it was 4: a homepage, tickets, seats, and payment. For the secondary user, I added in the movie page and also the what's on page. So my sketches, so this was the first iteration, kind of comparing the home pages of other cinema websites, doing what's on the movie page, the ticket selection and seats, option to log in before checkout, and then payment. For my mood board, I kind of, to come up with an identity, was looking at the website for the Gentlewoman NTS radio show, the Design Museum in Vienna, and I kind of settled on the Barbican website. I liked how clean and simple it was, but still graphic and contemporary. So my first iteration was very medium fidelity, just kind of putting together a homepage, and I tested this on 8 people to see how they would move through it. So the first task, you want to go to the cinema on Saturday night with a friend, you're not sure what you want to see yet, and you want to sit in the back row. Show me what you do. So 87% of testers clicked on Saturday to see movie screening on Saturday, so that's pretty straightforward. 100% of testers correctly identified the back row quickly and easily. 100% of testers opted to continue as a guest at this stage. Some didn't read the accompanying text and just click continue as guest out of habit. Even regular cinema goers, when pressed on it, said they understood the text, but they just didn't want the hassle of signing in. 0% of testers clicked on read more to learn more about the movie. They just clicked on the movie time to proceed with their purchase. I was just, I'd like to probe into that more. Is it not obvious enough, or are people just busy with their lives and they just kind of just want to book their ticket? So yeah, doing the same task on the existing Lighthouse website, 87% of testers clicked on now showing to see movies screening on Saturday. And then they were brought to this page, which is quite confusing. So on average, the testers got to the payment page on my prototype 1 minute and 20 seconds faster than they did on the existing Lighthouse website, which is an improvement of 59%. And then the second task was, you've heard that the Lighthouse are showing some Christmas movies and you'd like to get some information on that. Show me what you would do. So 50% of testers clicked on our program, which suggests that the wording needs to be reconsidered. They thought that that means a program of what's on. They didn't know that that meant it was for specific events. And then 50% of testers clicked on what's on and then clicked seasons, which was the intended flow. So, oh, sorry. I will now go to my Irevise. There we go. So this is, sorry, I'll just move this. So this is my final prototype. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the final prototype, this is the home page, and this is what's on today. So we want to go to what's on Saturday. Just going down through various movies. This saves a lot of time because you know what's on that day. So we're going to go with 3 colors red, going to 2 adults, choose seats, go to the back row, proceed to payment. You could earn 250 points for this purchase, which can be used for future cinema trips. The flow is set up to sign in, and then that takes the payment page. And then for the secondary user who wants to know what's on and kind of plan their trip in advance, what's on has been condensed into films, seasons, theatre, and exhibition. And you can sort by name and sort by date. So sorting by name, that's alphabetical, and sorting by date is with what's on today, and then by date and also alphabetical. And then seasons brings you to Christmas season, Pan Fatal, and Friedkin Fest. So Problem statement, the user doesn't know how to find out what's on today. 87% of users identified the daily schedule buttons easily in the final prototype. The user is confused by the now showing page. So now showing and coming soon have been replaced by what's on. The subsections are film, season, theatre and exhibition. Films is further categorized by name and by date, and listings are alphabetical and chronological. The user has to leave the page to check what day of the week the movie is on. The user can easily see what day of the week it is beside the date of the movie. Users are confused by the language used on the site, now showing coming soon, event, cinema, season, signature, strands. So our program has been replaced with film clubs to make it just simpler, more inclusive. What's on, so now showing and coming soon, what's on has replaced that. Event cinema has been replaced by exhibition and theatre, and signature strands has been removed because nobody understood what it was. The confusion about the seat position, 100% of users correctly identified the back row quickly. And then for next steps, yeah, I'd like to continue by looking at like a mobile site. I just kind of put together a homepage screen very quickly. So you have the ad, you have buttons for the day of the week. If you want to learn more about the movie, you can click on these. So when I did the online survey, 60% of respondents had said that they would primarily buy cinema tickets on their phones. So with an identity established for the desktop website, I could use these same elements to improve the mobile site experience too. 100% of, so the next step would be for the loyalty program. So 100% of the users tested chose to continue as guests instead of signing in or creating an account. Even users who go to the cinema weekly that I tested said they just opt to continue as guests to avoid hassle, and some didn't even read the text detailing the incentive, they just skipped it. How could this be made more enticing? Because I would say that is something the Lighthouse would want people to sign up, that would be a stakeholder plus. And then I was also thinking the Cinema Book Club is a monthly film club at the Lighthouse. Pre-registration isn't required. Everyone's welcome to stay behind to discuss the movie and the source material afterwards. Could this be made into a feature in the booking process and make the cinema more of a real life community? So my learnings, I would have done the usability tests and interviews first before the competitive analysis and the online survey. There were just so many problems on the website to fix that I had decided which ones to focus on from my own thoughts after the competitive analysis. If I'd spoken to more people first, I think I would have realized that most people buy tickets on their phones close to the screening, so it would have made more sense to design a mobile website. And also people don't really care about a loyalty membership program as much as I do. Then the online survey, I had very general questions about what the cinema experience is to people and why they find it special. It could have been a lot more focused on how people buy tickets, how long before a trip they buy tickets, and what information they want to see. So I think that would have given me more quantitative data to back up my ideas. And then to conclude, so the goal of the primary user to buy a ticket for a specific night that week has been made much easier, with 87% of the users correctly identifying the new flow and getting to the payment page 59% faster than on the existing site. And the goal of the secondary user to see what is coming up and to plan ahead has also been made easier. The headings and features have been simplified, and after our program was changed to film clubs for the final prototype, 100% of users tested again with the second iteration correctly identified what's on and seasons as the correct location for information about Christmas movies. So that's it.
That's great, Laura. Well done. No, the project and everything is just amazing, and the slides as well. And listen, I really liked that you used so much data there. Like, you said, okay, I'm gonna test this, and they're like, 87% people did this, 100%. So nothing is basically kind of hanging on, kind of say like, this was my opinion, I tested it, but you kind of supported every decision that you made with, real data, which is like invaluable. So great job. Like, it's amazing. Guys, any feedback for Laura?
I think it's
oh, go ahead.
No worries. I was just going to say, I think it's really good project, and I think the learnings at the end is definitely going to be invaluable to you, just in terms of what you learn from research. And I think was highlighted in Rachel's as well, just how important it is at the very beginning of any project to kind of not just go off your own assumptions. And I know with the kind of how the projects are laid out, you kind of go into these projects like that, you kind of choose what you want to focus on. But I think, yeah, the research at the very beginning, and it's a great learning to take away from the projects. Like, you did mega work, and it's all really good. And I actually loved the redesign even of the site that you did. So really good stuff there. But yeah, just wanted to highlight just the importance of those learnings, and really good that you put them into your presentation and actually express those as well. So really good stuff.
Great, thanks.
Very good.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of what I was going to say as well. Like, I like that you assessed that, the order in which you did things could have changed because of the findings that you got. That's really interesting. And that's the kind of thing you only really learn by actually doing. Like, you could read about that and you could read about all the theory, but sometimes you do a project and it's only after you finish doing a thing and you're like, oh, now I realize why we do this beforehand for certain projects, or why we ask certain questions beforehand. That prep, I think, really helped. And I think you've addressed a really pertinent issue, because when I first heard about your project and I saw you talking about it, I didn't think it was a big issue until I'd forgotten about it, and I went on the Lighthouse website, and of course I clicked now showing, and it was like, what the hell, like, I can't click a day, like, this is terrible. So yeah, it's a very pertinent project you're working on, and I really like how you expanded it. There's still so much to explore there as well. I didn't think there would be as much to explore, but there's actually so many avenues even within just that ecosystem, because the Lighthouse has a very specific kind of brand, and I think you really understand that, and you've tapped into it quite nicely. I really liked the parallel to the Barbican, because I think they're both very much the same kind of audience. It's very much the same kind of feeling that they're trying to communicate. I love the Barbican's branding. Like, that's a different discussion, but like, I'm kind of obsessed with their branding and how they present things in their catalogs. Oh, and thank you for reminding me that I need to see the Three Colors trilogy at some point.
Yeah, it's great.
I totally agree. I think it's an extremely comprehensive project overall. I think, like, the takeaways, as Simon said, are going to be huge. And I suppose, like, Jamie's touched on it as well, that there's a lot left in that, and there's probably a lot more you could tease out. Like, it's really kind of up to you how far you want to take it. But I think it's really nice that even in your own observation of the project, that, like, the use case for people actually booking tickets is generally on a mobile, and it's great that you've identified that, and you can look back on the project retrospectively and say, well, look, I've already started considering that and putting it together. But also, yeah, even that little the little read more thing, I thought that was such a nice little observation, being that that's something that's come up through your testing, that you've kind of noticed yourself. It wasn't a pain point, but it's something that could potentially be improved, particularly for the mobile experience, where vertical real estate is a little bit more of a consideration. So I think that's really really good that you're even thinking about that now as future work potentially. Then I know it's been touched on as well, but just from my perspective, that's the type of project I love seeing. It's like everything's in the metrics, and I think it was either Simon or Jamie have already said it, that it's like, it's a real case of like proof and pudding. It's like, you don't have to make any arguments because the data is already doing that for you, which is fantastic. The one observation that I had that I thought might be worth considering and exploring is I can't remember. Yeah, it was the Christmas movies bit and the user journey into that. And I think you've solved for that problem really, really well. But being that it's a consumer-driven website, it might be worth thinking about how other, like, either close competitors or similar websites in a different sphere are handling kind of stuff like that, where it could be a special offer on a retail site or those kind of things, to try and like push the users into those sort of seasonal things, so that they're aware they're there, whether it's like either like some kind of a header or little banners or little pop-ups or whatever it is. It might be a nice one to research and think around how you could showcase those seasonal things. But overall, like, fantastic project, well done, amazing amount of work in a short time.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Franch, do you want to say something to Laura?
Great job, Laura. I always say this, Laura. I think her superpower is she's a great UX researcher. Like, her research is so comprehensive. Like, I know it's not like she can't show everything in those 10 minutes, but I've seen her work, and she backs it all up with the data and actual figures and numbers and user quotes, and I think that's you can't question that. So she actually sells it then. So she's worked really hard on this project, and yeah, she's very passionate about this, which is great. I think that's a good sign. Like, you got to be passionate, especially in our line of work, like. So yeah, thanks for all your feedback, and I second everything that people have said. There was a lot to this project. Initially I didn't think of it, that there's going to be so much to the project, but as we went ahead and she shared her findings with me, it was like actually a lot. It looks like a very simple problem, but it wasn't. Like, it was a whole experience, and we realized it's not just buying tickets, it's an experience. People go to cinema to cut from the daily life, and they're looking for this passport into a different world. So we have to make this experience really, really good. So, and I don't think I'm confident Laura actually nailed that. So yeah, good job, Laura.
Thanks, and thanks for all your help.
Oh no, it was all you. I didn't do anything.
Well done, both. Great. That's all.